I've survived all kinds of winters. This year's different, though. When the temperatures dip lower than my spurs, I warm up with a hearty chili bowl from Sonic. Packed with beef, veggies, and bold seasonings, it's so delicious I wrote home about it. Best letter I ever got, too. It's hearty enough to eat all on its own. I'm not crying. It's the onions. I swear.
Ride into Sonic for new hearty chili bowls. This is how you Sonic. Tax not included. See menu for details. For limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
Welcome to Live from the Armory Wrestling Show, the premier podcast of indie wrestling.
He looked like a battery-operated boyfriend, is who he looked like. I mean, he was just he did. God.
Oh, God.
Horrible, okay?
Disclaimer warning coming out. I can feel it. This portion of Live from the Armory Wrestling Show is brought to you by AdamandEve.com.
Our studio line is area code 213-816-1605. With your host, Bunkhouse Bob.
I'll bring duct tape, rope, whatever it takes.
And the lovely Laura.
What kind of things are you into? You got duct tape and ropes? Have you been buying stuff from Adam and Eve?
And we're live, folks. If you might not notice, I am not Bunkhouse Bob, and I'm not the lovely Laura. This is George Coles substituting in for Bunkhouse Bob. And right away, because we had a little bit of audio issues, I'm going to bring Laura on with us right away. Laura, do I got you on there with me?
Hey, George.
I wanted to bring you in right away because of the weird intro problem we had, which, of course, Blog Talk Radio has to go crazy when there's two new hosts on here. We'll blame it on Bob. But welcome everybody to the show. We have a fabulous guest tonight. Of course, the lovely Laura's here. I'm here. We're ready to go. Thanks for tuning in wherever you're tuning in, however you're listening to us. You can find us. Go ahead, Laura, you can tell them all that good stuff. You know all that.
Yes, you can listen to us live right now on the FNX network. You can also listen to us on Stitcher and on actually Blog Talk too. Right now, you can listen to us live. I think the FNX network actually is on demand. It uploads after we're finished. So the Blog Talk Radio is the way to go to listen to us live. You can go to blogtalkradio.com and search for Live from the Armory because I don't have our link handy. You can you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can hear this and every episode for the last 2 years after it is in the can, as we say in wrestling land. You do have to excuse George and my discombobulation, I guess that's a word. But as you can see, Bob is an integral part of the show because George and I, as you can see, are doing a bang-up job. So,
yeah.
Also,
but I think that intro issue that threw me off a bit, and I see it's got you flustered a bit because, we're already anxious coming into it because Bob handles the technical side. We're just here for our looks.
Right, exactly. And our good friend the Gray Lobster has tweeted out that he can hear us just fine. The volume is a bit on the low side, so I don't know if that's something that you can turn up there on the dashboard or not, George. So I just want to put that out there just in case.
I don't see the option, and I don't want to mess with too many things because I don't want us to get booted off in the middle of a show because we do have a great show planned, and let's get back on track before we get any further, Laura. There is a reason why Mr. Delph is not here today. And we wanted to go ahead at the beginning of the show, and not only this episode, but every episode of this year, we're going to dedicate every episode of this season to Bob's mother, Darlene. Unfortunately, she passed away. She had lost her battle with cancer. Please send them all the love you can. Send them some encouraging tweets. Send them some love on Facebook. He'd love to hear from everybody. But with that being said, as a show of respect and how much we love her and we love Bob, we're going to take a moment of silence here. All right, and now that we can compose ourselves, now that we got the stuff that's tough to get through, kind of tugs at your heartstrings. I never met his mother, but I'm sure she was a wonderful person. From everything he's ever said about her, she sounded like a wonderful person, and she raised a wonderful son. So
yes,
we love
same
you,
here.
Darlene.
Same here.
We love you, Darlene, and be to you. And again, if you feel so inclined, say a few prayers. You know, send some goodwill, send some good wishes out to Bob and his family in this troubling time. And Laura, why don't you give out the social media so we could get this back on a more flowing note?
Certainly. We have social media, y'all. And if you can't hear us, you know, I guess you'll just have to turn your volume up. We can be found on Twitter. I can be found at Circle Sky. And I'm manning the Twitter machine tonight at From the Armory. George One Knob Coles can be found at Heel Heat. Our good friend the Gray Lobster can be, our good friend the Dr. Goozeltron can be found at the Gray Lobster. We have Facebook pages. You can find our official Live from the Armory page, and you can also find our fans from Live from the Armory page. So, you know, search those out in the search box of Facebook and give us a like, give us a follow. Also, as I mentioned before, we do have a YouTube channel that has some WrestleCade footage on there that's been quite popular, I hear. And also, as I said before, you can download or you can listen to every episode for the last 2 years on there. So if you've missed an episode or, hey, you know, what did Steve Carino say that time he was on the show? Or, you know, what did Joey Ryan say when he was on the show? You can find that out. You can go on YouTube and listen to them give us their wisdom. So give it a try, y'all.
While we're on the subject of episodes, see that's what they call a segue, Laura, and not one that you ride. While we're on the subject, I'm going to roll into our Twitter poll since I have it up here. And the question of the week was, did you watch the WOW debut on Access TV? Now, we had 3 answers, yes, no, and it's on my DVR, meaning you plan on watching it later, I hope. Yes had 42%, it's on my DVR, had 11%, and no had 47%. Now, I don't know if I want to say that no won, because if you combine the it's on my DVR, that's 53%, which I would say that would mean 53% either watched it or planning on it. Wouldn't you agree, Laura?
Oh, yeah, because, you know, the Nielsen ratings count those things as being, you know, watches when they're doing their polling and everything. So, yeah, or views, I should say. So, yeah, I think you could combine both of those. Just because you didn't watch it right when it came on doesn't mean you're not going to.
Now, did you get a chance to check it over the weekend?
I did not, because I don't pick up Access TV on my cable company, but my honey bunny burnt me some DVDs, and he's going to be giving me those. And he told me what a great show it was. He said there's a lot of the a glow vibe going on and thinks that this right here is something right up my alley. So I'm really looking forward to it.
It does have a glow feel, and I'm not mistaken, David McLean, who was big on the glow.
Right.
And Women of Wrestling, it's actually not a new promotion. It's been kicking around for quite a while. In the beginning, it was pretty much glow without the name. Now it's more of a hybrid with glow with a little bit more of an updated and, how shall I say, less sexist version of glow.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right, yeah. It made perfect sense. And John and I met that dude at WrestleCade.
Did you?
Yeah, we did. He was very, very nice.
Did you talk to him about Mountain Fuji?
We did not, because there were
Fiji,
lot of people.
Fiji.
Fiji. No, unfortunately, we did not. There was a lot of people over near him because there were a lot of women who didn't have a whole lot of clothes on near him. So,
I can.
But so you can see why it would be rather busy over in that neck of the woods. Yeah, he was super nice. Super, super nice. So,
everything.
And this was not
everything.
This past WrestleCade was the one before.
Everything I've seen and heard about him, I've heard that he's come off as a really nice guy and he's really good to deal with. And he'd be someone I'd like to meet at some point. And that would be one of the main reasons I liked Glow. When it originally aired, and this is going to date me a little bit, I was a little bit too young to understand the sexualized parts of it. I just knew it as a wrestling show. I understood it later towards the end of the series because I started getting into my early teens before it got off the air. But the people I gravitated to, I always liked Mountain Fiji was my absolute favorite. I loved Big Bad Mama. I loved Hollywood and Vine. I thought they were cool. I never, and I've told you this before, Laura, when I was a kid, I gravitated to the heels more. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. I like the bad guys in movies. I like the villains in comic books. I am, and so I gravitated to them. And then to tie it in, Women of Wrestling, it keeps that vibe. It keeps that, how shall I say, I don't want to say it doesn't take wrestling serious because it really does, but it adds that glow vibe where it's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, you know what I mean? Right.
And I think that's a great thing that Glow had. Dee Booher was my favorite because I'd watched her in roller derby before she came over to Glow, and they called her Queen Kong in roller derby.
Yeah, I remember her.
She was I was like, holy crap, this woman can do anything. But yeah,
here's a real question.
How
old were you when you found out that roller derby was fixed?
Oh, good Lord. It had to have been about the time that, you found out wrestling was fixed because, and I didn't even know it was broken. See, still after. But yeah, gosh, I love roller derby. But I want to get this in, George, because it's a breaking story. PW Insider is reporting that Abyss and Sanjay Dutt have left Impact Wrestling.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sanjay's a pretty big player, because he's the original player from the Himalaya. But the fact that Abyss has left, because that is like the Undertaker leaving the WWE. And for me,
They're both massive because Sanjay does so much behind the scenes too.
He sure does.
That's I did not see that. We what the obvious things are going to be. Where are they going next? And that's going to pop up here.
It's reported that they're heading to the E.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are they? I'm guessing Sanjay would probably have a similar role that he has, a producer type role.
Yeah, kind of like Jimmy
Abyss.
Jacobs.
I like him as a wrestler. Abyss a lot, but has he worn his body down too much that he's not going to have the same effect there?
Maybe they're going to give him a backstage role. Maybe that's what he wants.
I hope so. I mean, the guy is super intelligent. I mean, just the little interactions I had with him, and I'd met him a couple times at Impact tapings back years ago when it was still free and it was still at the Universal Studios every week.
Right.
He comes off as super intelligent, super nice to the fans. Totally, he comes off as Joseph Park. To be honest with you, it seems like that was, and that was before Joseph Park.
I met him.
That's
he's just
one.
Absolutely. He was great. AML always does a show with Impact every summer, and they brought him in, and he had the mask on, and he had a Superman shirt on, and I was like, hey, I saw the Superman girl too. I said, everybody talks about how wonderful Batman is, and that seemed to warm him up, and which I'm a Supes girl. I don't really care that much for Batman, but don't tell George South about it. So we talked and he was wonderful. I'm sorry, George. I love you. I even told you yesterday that yesterday was Steve Perry's birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I heard that on the radio, and I was like, I got to tell George. With that being said, maybe that is the attraction to
straw.
Maybe it's like, hey, we're going to give you backstage jobs. It'd be a whole lot easier on you. Well, sign me up because I think real quick, I don't know if people know this or not, but it's been reported that when the people whose last name escapes me, who own the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are bankrolling AEW, went looking around. Yeah, they went looking around for a wrestling company, and Anthem offered to sell Impact to them. And they're like, no.
I had heard that rumor too.
We'll pass.
Hey, that's kind of earth-shaking news. That's a big hit for Impact to take. Impact has taken a lot of big hits over the years and weathered the storm on most of them. I don't know if people really realize how big of a hit this is, because Sanjay Dutt, he's all the success that Impact's had over this last year. A lot of that could be contributed directly back to him. I know he has a lot to do with scouting new talent. I know he has a lot to do with the, putting together the show.
I mean, he's like the jack of all trades. He was doing all kinds of stuff in Greensboro when they were when they had the last dual show with AML, and I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's huge that Abyss is leaving, and yeah, it is, because that's basically, you just inducted him into your Hall of Fame last year. This is, one of the founding fathers of your company. As a matter of fact, I think it is the last one.
No, I just seen that this is coming over. I don't know if we can confirm or not, but I'm seeing a couple people posted that Conan and Tommy Dreamer are going to be taking their backstage spots. Maybe they're working out, because I know Conan and Dreamer have something to do with MLW, so maybe we'll see more of an MLW presence on the show.
Hey, I think it's a great thing. I think anytime someone can get some TV time, Caleb Conley, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. And
that all reminds me. It's not on our sheet, but you just reminded me. I meant to add it today, but as I told you before, folks, before we went on the air, there was a lot going on today in my town. If you don't, I'm just going to mention this real quickly. I'm okay. My family's okay. If you're reading Twitter or watching the news, and you know that I'm from Sebring, Florida, which has been mentioned several times on the show, we had a mass shooting in our town today, and it kind of threw everything off. And everybody, as far as I know, everyone that I know has checked in okay. We don't know who the victims are, so please, again, say another prayer for them. But the reason I bring that up is because I meant to tell you today that I wanted to add something in and I forgot to, because of all that was going on. That happened actually, like I told you, Laura, about just 2 miles away from where I work. But last night I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a guy that's getting his T-shirt designs for CM Punk pulled off of the internet, and the copyright claim is being put out by Pro Wrestling Tees, which we know does CM Punk shirts. Also, combined on that is AEW, which I found super interesting. A lot of people are speculating on AEW, but I think it's going to turn the wrestling world upside down. Now I've heard that Ryan, that runs Pro Wrestling Tees, is in the merchandising staff in AEW, and it may just be that they put that on because now that they're partnered together, that AEW might own part of the company. There's a lot of gray area in that. Find it really odd that AEW would have any kind of a copyright claim on CM Punk. I don't know. To me, I don't want to be Chicken Little singing "The Sky is Falling," but there's an old adage that says, "Where there's smoke, there's fire." And
Punk is falling.
I think this fire burns. I mean, I don't want it to be a false alarm. Don't take this as we know that CM Punk's coming back, because God knows everybody that's a wrestling fan wants to see him back. At least everybody I know that's a wrestling fan wants to see him back.
I'd give anything for him to come back.
Speaking of comebacks, Laura, I know you had I know you'd wanted to talk about one. Let's see if we could get that in before we get Mr. Drake on the line.
Yes, I want to talk about PWX's show over the weekend, 2 nights of the X16 tournament, Saturday and Sunday, and would like to congratulate my BFFs, Mr. Caleb Conley and Mr. Zane Riley, on defeating the Ugly Ducklings. I'm sorry, Lance, Rob, and Mikey. I still love y'all. But the Revolt stole the belts at the last show, and I do mean stole. They took them without winning them. So they showed up, had the belts, beat the Ducks. So Caleb and Zane and Caleb are the new PWX Tag Team Champions. They also had their first title defense in at night 2 of the X16 tournament against a very unlikely duo of Mr. Ethan Case and Mr. John Schuyler. John Schuyler left Ethan Case hanging, wouldn't tag him. So, I mean, that's not surprising, knowing John Schuyler the way I know John Schuyler. And there is some controversy surrounding John Schuyler's win over Ethan Case because PWX management came out and was trying to remove the Revolt from front row. They were just there minding their own business watching the show. So when all that was going on, John Schuyler pinned Ethan Case. So I got a feeling there's going to be more going on with Bubba Number One and the Southern Savior. It was a good show. I enjoyed it. Slim J, who I am not familiar with at all, won the X16 tournament, and our guest, who was last year's team winner, presented him with the trophy. He presented Mr. Slim J with the trophy. Are you familiar with Slim J, George?
Yeah,
I'm not.
He's someone that
I'm not at all.
I know I had seen him off and on. I want to say he's been wrestling for at least 10 years now.
He has. Yeah.
I've seen him off and on. I want to say CZW. I know he's wrestled in a lot of Northeast promotions, which would explain why you haven't seen much of him. But yeah, right. He's actually a really, really solid wrestler. I'm not surprised.
He really was.
That he's getting.
There were some great matches. The Eddie Edwards and Billy Brash match was that was the last match of night one, and they killed it. And Harlan Bravado brought his brother Lance out with him. Lance no longer wrestles. It was good to see them together. Literally, somebody's been sleeping on Harlan Bravado. I think you'll see him signed somewhere soon, because he is, they don't call him the unsigned hype for nothing. He was great. Real funny, real quick, the Syndicate six-man tag team match with Josh Cutshaw at ringside for Billy Brash, Big Time Yaw, and Tracer X. So Tommy Thomas gets in, and he's doing what Tommy Thomas does. Gets in the ring, and Josh Cutshaw, who has a hurt shoulder, he's broke his shoulder. He's on the mend. And gets in there, and as we all know, Josh has a couple personalities, inside. So Tommy slaps the taste out of his mouth, and he goes crazy. And so Tommy's like, please be Vegas, please be Vegas. So he was hoping that he would be Nash Vegas, who is an incarnation of Mr. Cutshaw. And no, he took Tommy's glasses from him. He had a hat on, put that on backward, and started acting like Tommy Thomas. So that was some fun stuff. I enjoyed that immensely. So all in all, it was a pretty good show. It was good to see Zane and Caleb win those tag titles. I have tweeted on Twitter, I don't know how many times, just real quick, TNA could use those two in their tag division. TNA could reawaken their tag division with those two, I think. But that's just me.
Well, they are a fantastic tag team, and both of them are. And speaking of tag teams, why don't you expand a little bit? I'm going to see if we could get our host or our guest on here in a moment.
Certainly. We can talk about this as well a little later, but I just wanted to throw it out that our good friend Cedric Alexander is getting his figure finally. Is that you can pre-order them. WWE is finally going to put a Cedric Alexander figure out into the stores, and I couldn't be more proud of Cedric. It's just absolutely awesome. Can't think of anybody who deserves it more than he does. We have said many times that Cedric was our second guest ever and was on again before he got signed to WWE. And I'm just kind of flailing here because I never have anything to talk about when someone says, here, talk about whatever. I got to go do this. So I never have anything to talk about, but I'm not sure if we thanked everyone when George first came on because of the technical audio difficulty there, but we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to us every week as we are on the air every Wednesday from 7 to 9. Not sure if George and I are going to keep it under, or actually from 7 to 8:30. I do apologize. I'm not sure if George and I will be able to keep it, to 2 hours this week, but because you know how we are.
We never do. And Laura, with that being said, we have our wonderful guest. I'm going to bring him on right now. He has a little bit of a time constraint. The one and only JD Drake. Mr. Drake, are you there on the line, sir?
I am. How are you guys?
Doing great tonight. Hopefully you are too. Laura, do you want to say hi to JD?
What are you doing?
I'm driving. We talked about this already.
That's one of them things them women do, Mr. Drake. They ask us questions they already know the answers to.
We're just going to see if you lie.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. They just sort of try to catch you in a lie.
Too funny.
Well, JD, we know that you have a little bit of a time constraint here, so we're gonna jump right into this and get everything on the ball rolling.
Okay.
Now, You've long been considered one of the hardest-hitting and toughest wrestlers in the business. With the climate of wrestling being what it is in 2019, do you feel your style is a style that is coming back into prominence now?
I don't believe it ever left, if you want to be quite honest about it. I mean, so what? People are flipping and flying and doing all kinds of crazy things. A punch to the mouth is still a punch to the mouth.
It sure is.
I don't think that my style ever left. I'm just 6'2", 300 pounds, and when I hit somebody, there's something behind it.
One of the promotions we know you work for is Evolve, and they have a rich history of having some of the best wrestlers in the world. How does it feel to be someone who is currently considered one of the faces of that company?
Well, to be honest, it's still kind of surreal. About 3 or 4 years ago, my career made probably one of the strongest turns that I could have ever imagined when I started working for PWX and I started working for some higher profile companies. And when I first got contacted by Gates Sapolsky, the fellow that looks for Evolve, he contacted me to do Style Battle, to ride down with Anthony Henry and be on the first Style Battle. And I was ecstatic. I was like, well, maybe this is an opportunity for me to finally get my foot in the door and possibly make a name for myself. And I went down and wrestled John Davis at Style Battle. And
I remember that.
That was the turning point. So right then I kind of said to myself, I feel like I can do this. And John slapped me upside the head and said, you better not feel like you can do it. You better know you can. So from that point on, I kept the I know I can do it mindset. And every time I've stepped foot in the ring and Evolve, my job and my goal was to go out and steal the show. Whether it's with Anthony by my side as my tag partner, Anthony Henry, or whether it was in a singles match. And I've done it on quite a few occasions. And that's something for, out of shape country boy from North Carolina who first started wrestling in his grandmother's living room with a stuffed animal. So it's surreal. It's like, on one hand, I never thought I'd be in the position that I'm in, and on the other one, I feel like, you know what, the fruits of your labor are finally starting to bear.
Exactly. And I remember that match as well. If I remember correctly, not only me, but most of the people I seen that watched that show thought that was the best match of the whole tournament. That actually seems to be a common theme with a lot of your matches there. Like you said, you try to show out every time, and to us on the end watching it, it's always a pleasure to see you there. And I enjoy seeing you involved because Evolve's not too far for me to drive. Driving up to the Carolinas, being a Florida boy, it's a little bit of a hike. So getting to see a great wrestler such as yourself down here, and close enough for me to come and say hi, even though if Laura can't pronounce Ybor City.
Well, I couldn't pronounce Ybor City either, and I think you're still mispronouncing it. I think it's Ybor City because there's nothing but bars in the whole town.
Oh, that's what we know it for around here until FIP and Evolve started running shows there. That's literally the only thing you would go there for, was to go out and drink and have a good time. Not saying that that's a bad idea. It's a great setting for a wrestling show because, if the wrestling's great, you go and celebrate afterwards. If the wrestling's not so great, you go and drink one and make it go away afterwards.
That's about it. But here's the thing about FIP at the moment. As long as you see myself, Anthony Henry, Austin Theory, and some of the other guys that wrestle on the Evolve shows, as long as you see our names on the card, it's not going to be a bad card. There's not going to be bad wrestling.
No, definitely not. Speaking of those partnerships, Evolve, as everybody knows, is part of the WWN network. What have been some of the benefits of the WWN network working closely with WWE for yourself and for the rest of the roster?
Well, just the knowledge that we've gained from the people there. We get to sit in on some of the seminars and some of the tryouts and things like that. I've gotten to hear William Regal's lecture twice. I've gotten to hear Norman Smiley give his lecture and lesson on professional wrestling. Having Cassius Ohno in the locker room is like almost having an encyclopedia in the locker room, and if you don't sit down and talk to him and try to learn as much as you can while he's there, you're doing yourself a disservice. I've actually been in the ring with the Street Profits twice. So getting to get in the ring with guys that are there, guys that know what they're looking for, and having their coaches and things like that watch means the absolute world. Like one of my favorite experiences in the past few months was the first time we wrestled the Street Profits in Detroit. After the match was over, I walked back through the entranceway and get in the back. The first person that greets me is Coach Robbie Brookside. And Mr. Brookside shakes my hand and looks at me and says, "Jesus Christ, where did that come from?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're not supposed to move like that. You're 300 damn pounds. What are you doing?" I said, "Well, sir, I'm working." He said, "Damn right you are. Busted your bollocks." I was like, "Man, what the hell's a bollock?" But he kept praising us, and we asked him if there was any critiques, and he literally looked at us and said, "Absolutely not. None." That was for me and Anthony. Anthony worked his rear end off that match, too. It was probably one of our better tag matches. And the Street Profits got in the back and was like, "Man, we don't get to do that up there." So they got to work a little bit different style coming to our house. And while they enjoy it, it's just something they don't get to do every day. But just having that experience with guys that are there and they know what the environment is 24/7. If that's where you want to be, then you're dumb to not pick their brain.
Take it there, George. You talked a little bit about, how your life's changed since the last you were on the show, but let's talk a little bit more about, what's different now. You haven't been on the show for a little bit, but and since, these things have come along in your career working with PWX and working with Evolve, how's that changed you? How's that changed your life?
I've spent more time in the air than I have on the ground in the past few years. Well, actually, the past year and a half. Anthony and I we've hit the road, and we are all over the place. We've been as far north as Maine, as far south as Texas, and everywhere in between. Like, I know for a fact that there were about 6 weeks where we had 3 bookings a week for 6 weeks.
Oh, my.
And all of them were in a different region of the United States.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so the fact that now we're no longer just local household names. Now we're starting to become national names. We're starting to become national talent. Wherever we go, people know us. And it's still the weirdest thing in the world to be walking through an airport and somebody notice you. And chase you down to talk to you and try to get an autograph.
That's awesome.
It's the strangest thing in the world. It happened to me at WrestleMania week last year, too, in Louisiana. I was going down Bourbon Street for the first time, so I was enjoying myself.
I'm sure.
And, I was absolutely enjoying myself. Somebody kept yelling at me. Well, I turned around kind of upset to begin with. Like, who keeps yelling my damn name? So when I turn around, it's somehow that says, "I saw you at Laboon versus Riddle." And I just have to say that was probably my favorite match of the year. Thank you. I was like, what? You realize I'm in Louisiana. That happened in New York. Why?
Oh, wow.
How? There's no way that you were there, but apparently he was. And I'm starting to get that more and more. And to me, it's the strangest thing ever because I'm just from Shelby, North Carolina. I'm from a little speck on the map that probably have to get a magnifying glass out to see. But the biggest thing that's changed is just getting national notoriety and being on the road a lot more.
I imagine so. And you and Anthony are such a well-oiled, cohesive unit. And that's a perfect segue for my next question is, do you and Anthony plan to challenge the Revolt for the PWX tag title since you didn't get to finish your tag team title match with the Ugly Ducklings?
Well, they're lucky that I haven't just found them and slapped them anyway. That was ridiculous. Zane needs to keep his nose out of people's business. I mean, I understand that he's got to do what he can to remain relevant since he tried to go to greener pastures but found out that they're fertilized with crap.
Oh, my. But
that doesn't mean that you can leave and come back and then jump right back into where you feel like you left off. So I would just keep my eyes on social media because you never know when I'm liable to just walk in and slap somebody upside the head.
Well, this is true, and you and Zane have history together. You were the APW tag champs, right?
Yes, and that's what makes no sense to me. Like me and him joined forces there, walked out, won titles, and that was it. I mean, the first time we teamed together, we won the APW tag title. So I figured, Zane's a pretty cool dude. It's all right. Nah, he got to stick his nose where it doesn't belong. I'm like, man, leave us alone. We had the Ducks beat. Had them beat. And you stuck your nose where it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it was a hard fought match, and it was like right up there at the end, and boom. Yeah, I don't think anybody was.
He ruined the best tag team match in the history of PWA.
It was. Are you saying it was the best tag team? I just want to make sure that's what you were saying.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. He ruined the best tag team match in the history of PWA.
And it got interrupted.
Oh, sure did.
Well,
by
Zane and Caleb.
No, two spoiled brats. Two of them.
Oh, you kill me.
No, JD, just so you know.
One of them was not man enough to show up. That would be the one that Laura freaks out about. He wasn't even man enough to show up. He had to produce a little video.
Well,
He was scared of getting slapped in the mouth.
Well, speaking of getting smacked, I watched this little clip with you and Movie Mike, and you knocked him in the next week. So
I'm gonna continue doing it when if he continues running his mouth, he'll continue getting hit. There's a trend here. If you keep messing with me, you're gonna keep getting hit.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about. Do you get a lot of people talking smack about you or doubting your ability to chop? Because I don't know why anyone would doubt the power behind your chop.
Well, I mean, some of them are like, it's just a lot of noise until they're on the receiving end of it. And then they're like, why did I make this dumb life decision? So, I don't know. I don't understand it myself.
Because I'm like, y'all are stupid. Did you get hit in the head too many times or what? Because, and, again, there's been a little bit of exchange between you and the gifted one, Yaya, on social media.
Don't ever call him the gifted one again. He's going to get gifted these chops. That's all he's going to get. He needs to get gifted some common sense. I don't know when his birthday is, but somebody needs to get him some common sense and wrap it up in a box and give it to him with his damn name on it. He needs to keep my name out of his mouth.
And then that's his gift, right? Right there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's your gift.
I just don't get it. I don't get why in this world, if anyone's seen any of your matches, why would they think, well, he don't hit hard? I've seen the whelps and handprints you leave on people. Crazy.
Well, some of them are like, they're the ones that have to see for themselves. They're going to see for themselves.
I believe you. I take your word for it.
I tell you what, if you want to see like some real me leaving my mark on somebody, then go sign up for Club WWN and go back and do the whole view on demand thing. Go watch my matches with Riddle and my match with Janela and I'm telling you, I beat Janela's Heinian so bad, he said, y'all quit.
Oh,
I just had a match with Eddie Kingston, and it was like two bulls beating each other to death.
Oh,
That's
man, I bet that was good.
No, what's your definition of good? My definition of bad was I couldn't move my neck for 2 days. We chopped each other in the neck 15 times. It felt like.
Oh, good Lord!
Yeah, it was a fight. It was a legit fight. You can go see it. I told you, Club WWN, $9.99 a month. Well worth your money. You can see every WWN pay-per-view.
Yeah, I used to watch those WWN pay-per-views. I need to get back on that. Yeah. You can watch FIP, ACW, Evolve, every Evolve, and you can even see, like, they've got to where they put the WWE guys on the stream now. So if you go and sign up, then for the Charlotte, for when they come to Charlotte and Atlanta, right,
you can see who's going to be on there. I believe they've already made the announcement. Adam Cole is going to be.
Yeah.
Adam Cole is going to be in Charlotte and Atlanta. And in Charlotte, they've already announced Austin Theory's opponent for the Evolve Championship. That's going to be Anthony Henry.
Oh, heck yeah!
Ooh.
Heck yeah!
So, there, I sold a few memberships because Anthony actually beat Austin for the FIP belt at the Orpheum in Tampa, and they put on a match of the year candidate that night.
Well, I mean, just about any time Anthony gets in the ring, it's a match of the year candidate. You know, I mean.
True. We're not gonna say that most of the time I'm by his side, but you know.
Right. I'm just saying. You know, you both do. I mean, I watched Anthony when he first came to PWX, and speaking of one of the first times I ever saw you was I had posted on your Facebook page a while back, you know, you come a long way from those Grindhouse shows. And I'm just curious, what's your favorite memory from those shows?
From the Grindhouse shows?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Do you remember?
He's going to talk about Mrs. Fireball. No, I am not. That's going to be the exact opposite of what I'm talking about. Let's see. If I had to guess, it was. Oh no! I hope I did not do what I think I did. It was a match that I had with Six. It was a ladder match.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Those shows were a lot of fun.
They were, and that was probably my favorite experience out of all of it because I mean, it was one of those matches that I'll never forget. I know that for sure, but
I don't think anybody else will either.
No, I promise they're not. It was a fantastic evening. The whole night was fun. Sleaze getting killed by Ronnie Nicole was hilarious. Yes. See what else happened that was funny that night.
It's hard telling.
You're correct, because I was probably slightly inebriated.
I think most everybody was slightly inebriated at those Grindhouse shows.
Oh, I agree.
Well,
that was
George,
that was my favorite. My favorite experience was the ladder match I had with Six.
That was a good one. That was a good one. I missed Fremont Music Hall, and I miss those Grindhouse shows. I wish that Fireball could find another place to have them. That would be absolutely awesome.
It would be something
George,
else.
It would be. George, we're on Turner time, and I think you got time enough to do your last question.
No problem. Now, with all the opportunities now in 2019, what is the next step in the evolution, no pun intended, of JD Drake? Well, let's see. The next logical step in the evolution of JD Drake is to do his best to be on television every Monday and Tuesday
or to be on television every Wednesday.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So that's the end goal. The end goal is to be nationally broadcasted and internationally known. Not as that other Drake guy from over
right.
whoever. I don't know him. I don't know that guy. Named Steven Rascal.
Well, I think that's a good goal, because if you make it to Wednesday nights, maybe you could take a trip across the pond and slap the taste out of his mouth.
He don't want that. He don't want that.
He don't want
these
hands.
Already. No, I saw him Mania Week. Well, no, it wasn't Mania Week. When we done the Joint Progress show in Philly, I ran into him. I talked to him for a little bit, and he stayed away from me.
See, he knows. He knows.
He keeps telling me to find. He keeps telling me to find myself a Zach Gibson, and then we can talk. And I told him I have an Anthony Henry. What's he waiting on? And he never takes me up on my offer.
See, they know.
Now that would be a match to sell a takeover, if you ask me.
Oh, heck yeah.
I would think so.
Heck
I would
yeah.
absolutely think so.
Now, I know we're, like I said in the beginning, we're a little bit short on time. We know you're a little bit crunched here. Before we do let you go, do we have any upcoming events you want to mention? Any merchandise you want to plug? Any social media you want to talk about?
Sure. This weekend I will be at PCW in Columbia on the 26th. I'll be in Tampa, Florida, or Ybor City, whatever you want to call it, at the Orpheum on the 27th for FIP Everything Burns. I'll be wrestling Brian Idol for the WWN Championship. So basically, it's going to be another notch in my belt. Now, you answer me why, and then we'll both know. I don't know how he weaseled himself into this situation. All he did was weasel himself into a career-threatening injury.
Yeah.
Well, more than one career. He says he's a model, and I'm liable to ruin his wrestling career and his opportunity at being a model when I mess his face up.
You might slap him so hard he turns back into Earl Cougar.
I might.
Yeah.
And if
kayfabe.
I'll just send Chase Brown after him. How's that?
Oh my.
There you go.
Oh my.
Yeah, I said it. Next week I have Rockstar Pro. Anthony and I are defending the Rockstar Tag Team titles against the Dirty at their 7th anniversary show. Then February the 2nd we wrestle Sad Comp, which is Kevin Koo and Dominic Guarini at Black Label Pro. And the 9th I am in Raleigh for American Lucha.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. Then we all know what the 16th is. I don't know that I have to go into the fact that the 16th is PWX and Evolve and Concord. All I'm going to say is, if you want to see JD Drake on the regular, slide on over to clubwwn.com or wwnlive.com, either one. Sign up for Club WWN, pay your $9.99 a month, and you can see the journey that Anthony and I both had from our first day in Evolve, where we won the Tag Team Championships in Charlotte versus Doom Patrol, all the way up to the historic night where I won the WWN Championship in a ladder match in Ybor City, and probably one of the most emotional nights in professional wrestling for myself.
That's a fantastic match, if I might say so myself.
That match was nuts. From start to finish, absolutely nuts. You can find me on Facebook,
JD.
James D. Drake. You can find me on Twitter at Real JD Drake. Instagram, I believe it's still Real James Drake. I haven't changed that one yet because I'm lazy. And you can probably find me at your local bowling alley on any given weekend where I don't have anything going on.
Now, JD, if our fans want to get a hold of some merchandise, some 8x10s, T-shirts, is there a way for them to get that?
Just find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. I just had some new pop sockets made that go on your telephone. I have three different variations. I have one that has me with the WWN title. I have one that has my Chop City logo, one that has my Chop Father logo. Stickers, 8x10s, you name it, we got it. All you have to do is get in touch with us. Oh, Anthony Henry and I also have a new shirt, the Hakuna Matata shirt with Lion King theme, where he and I are Timon and Pumbaa.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you saw it, but you haven't got one yet.
I know. I will get one. I promise.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I will.
I'm sure that promise of $1.75 will get me a bottle of Coca-Cola at the store.
Don't forget the pop socket too. You need to get that pop socket. I'm looking at them now. You got one in green, one in yellow, one in blue, and one with your beautiful face on it.
And to be honest, we can make it any color you want. Those were just the ones that the fiance was playing around with, and she said, "Oh, I like these colors." So everybody else did too.
Okay.
There you go.
She's the creative mind behind most of this.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Not at all.
And that's why JD's a smart man. You notice he gave all the credit to the fiance.
Yeah, he did.
Happy wedding, happy life.
That's right. Heck yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Well, JD, like I said, we know you're crunched for time. We definitely appreciate you coming back on. It's been an absolute blast, my friend. Hopefully next time we don't go too far without having you back on again.
Yes, exactly.
That will work.
I'm sure I will see you soon, sir.
I'm sure as well. As a matter of fact, the closer we get to the PWX Evolve joint date in February, let's work on that week, possibly getting back on and do some talking about the event then.
Certainly. Maybe we get you both on, maybe you and Anthony.
I'll do my best.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll be in touch, I promise.
All righty.
Well, you have fun tonight.
I'm going to try my best. Y'all take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You too. Have a good night. Have a safe travel, JD, and we'll see you at the matches.
Yes, sir.
There was JD Drake. He was absolutely amazing to have on it. We knew he would be.
Oh, yeah, I definitely knew he would.
He's a great.
He really is. And what I'm really impressed with is that you and I kept it in time. 30 minutes, brother, right? 30 minutes. We kept right on time, buddy.
There's one reason and one reason only. I would like my chest not to bleed for the next 5 or 6 days straight. I'm not going to mess around with JD Drake's time. If he tells me 30 minutes, that's what I'm going to go with. We're going to go with 30 minutes, and I'm going to have a nice peach-colored chest. I don't want black. Right. I don't want blue. I don't want blood running down it. So the man says we have a time limit. We're going to go with it.
Right. The first time I ever saw him was at an APW show in Chester, South Carolina in 2013, in November of 2013. And he was wrestling Cameron Cade. And I remember him just chopping the shit out of Cameron. And I'm like, holy crap. This dude is legit, and I don't know why in the world people would be out here saying that he can't chop hard. I'm like, have you been living under a rock? What is wrong with you? But he did. He knocked Movie Mike in the next week. If you guys haven't seen that video, go to either Movie Mike's page or James's page, his Facebook page. Holy crap!
I absolutely have to go and see him versus Eddie Kingston because I imagine that's just two bulls butting heads at each other for however long the match went. I can't imagine it's a long match because I don't think the human body is able to withstand either of their punishment for that long.
No kidding.
It is amazing that we did keep it within, like I said, the fear of God was in me. And, we kept it on. We kept rolling with it, and again, we love James or JD Drake. I I keep wanting to call him James. I'm so used to calling him James Drake, but maybe he could slap the taste out of that James Drake and get his name back and make him go by JD or go by something different.
Yeah, he can slap the James out of him.
There's where we go. Where's Russo when we need him? We need a James Drake on a pole match. Whoever gets to it first gets to keep it.
That would be awesome. Absolutely.
The only time in the history of wrestling we need Russo.
Right. Where do you find? You can't find him.
I can't find him anywhere. I'm sure he's under a rock. Actually, his spidey senses probably are kicking in right now, going, "Oh, wrestling fans are talking about me, bro."
Well, he makes a pretty good living by recording birthday messages. John's friend David had Russo to record his son Owen, and also Zack Ryder has been doing that on the side a little bit.
I know there's quite a few. I know I had looked into it before I got Bob what I got him for his birthday last year. I was looking for things, and one of the things I seen was Christopher Daniels giving a birthday call, and I thought that would have been that was something I was looking into. Because
Bob, people will actually talk to him.
Yeah, Bob would probably talk his poor ear off. But that's why we love him. But I think when I stumbled, I just came up with the idea to search for, and I'll say it. I don't know if Bob mentioned it, and I don't think it's a real big secret. He put it on his Facebook, so I know it's not a secret to the world. But I just came up with the idea to search for a magazine, a wrestling magazine from the year he was born. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the month he was born, but I got the month after because they were bi-monthly at the time. That's how long ago it was that not only were there magazines, but magazines didn't come out every month. It was every other month.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
I thought it was cool when I really thought about it, because if you look in the back, you could see what actually happened during his birthday. So he could look back and see matches that happened on the day he was born.
That's awesome.
Or at least that's what the picture showed me. I never actually seen it. I had it shipped right to his house.
Right. Well, that's very thoughtful and very awesome.
We try to be, and I know we got a little frazzled in the beginning. Blog Talk messed with our heads a little bit and got us rammed around, so we didn't get to get into all the news. So while we're here, and we have we're on George and Laura time now. It's not Turner time anymore. So time is only a constraint now in your own mind. We got up to 3 hours, so let's jump back into the topics we were going to bring up in the beginning. We know 3 hours because we pushed it to that limit before, and that's partially Tommy's fault. We'll put him in there too.
Yeah, I'm going to blame Tommy Thomas for everything that I possibly can, and man. That's one thing. Yeah, we'll blame Tommy for that. And speaking of which, we got to get him back on.
I love Tommy to death, but we put a microphone in front of that man, and his mouth just, whew. I don't think he took a breath for a good 25 minutes at one point.
I don't think he did either. We ended up talking about the series finale of How I Met Your Mother.
And everything else. I mean, phew.
Under the sun.
And I think, was that was either the first time I was a co-host or a guest host on, or was that the second? Was Brittany Wonder before him?
No, that was the first time.
So here I am coming on the show, and then we run the marathon show. I remember we didn't know it would even cut off at 3 hours. We had to find that out. I remember our conversation because I called you afterwards going, hey, did it kick you off too? And we talked for another few minutes, and we told Tommy we're sorry that it kicked everybody off. And then I remember the thing was, I wonder what Bob's going to think about this. Because I think we asked one question that we had on the format, and then it just went off the rails. It
wasn't even close to because Tommy just kind of if you've never actually met Tommy, Tommy just takes over. Period. It doesn't matter what situation it is. Have you met Tommy? Like
no, I
face-to-face?
haven't had a chance to yet. I haven't had a chance to yet. I'm planning on going to a little show in Vegas, so I'm hoping maybe he'll be there as part of the StarCast or one of those things.
Oh, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I know a lot of people fly out, so I'm hoping maybe I get to meet some of these people that I know. And oh man, the one thing that stood out to me is as soon as he got on the air, he said, "I could hear you through the phone, and you just sound fat." I
didn't like. I didn't like that.
I didn't mind because I thought it was funny, and I thought it was clever because that's the first time I ever heard someone say that. I always say that to people. I don't mind you insulting me until you come up with something new. And Tommy found a way to come up with something new, which, of course, afterwards we became friendly, and he probably still says to the day that neither us or him are me or you are friends with him, but that's Tommy.
Now, one of my best memories of him is the time that he got up he was supposed to be part of the PWX management. He gets up in the ring, doesn't even get to say a word. We boo him for a solid 3 minutes. He didn't get to say one word. We just booed his ass until he got out of the ring.
That had to kill him.
Another favorite memory of mine is when Harlan Bravado kicked him in the face, and I ended up picking his glasses off the floor. And Tommy had a shoe print on his cheek.
Now, see, you say you want to get Tommy on, but now we don't want to bring up bad memories. We want him to want to come back on.
Oh, believe me, Tommy, you give him a microphone, he'll talk. But yeah, we do need to get him, and we've talked about it, the Syndicate on, because they are a very powerful faction that we need to, get on and talk with them about. There's a lot of people in the Syndicate now. They seem to add a new member every time I turn around. But talking about some things that we did not get to discuss before we got James on, we would like to send our condolences out to the friends and family of Rex Backus. He unfortunately lost his battle with cancer this past week. I unfortunately did not get to see him at WrestleCade, and I deeply regret that I did not. And a lot of people I don't think even realize, he was wrestling. He had cancer. He was wrestling while fighting cancer. Just an incredible individual. From what I've seen, from what I've heard people, what I've read from Facebook, cancer hits home with me and George. So my hat's off to anybody confronts it with a brave face and a graceful heart. And it's just incredibly sad that he was so young and was taken away from us that way.
So full of life too. I hadn't had a chance to meet him, but as you can imagine, seeing Florida Independence and him wrestling around in the area, I've known of him and seen plenty of his matches. Always very entertaining. Always seemed to have a really good positive outlook, even towards the end when he knew that he was battling through it. And I know you're usually the potty mouth on this show, but I just got to say it. Fuck cancer. Fuck it in its stupid ass. That's all I got to say about that.
With a big broomstick.
With no Vaseline either. Man, it's that if I don't know if I remember reading this right, but he had did he have a kid as well, or I know he left a wife behind.
I don't know whether he left a kid or not. I didn't get any indication from anybody that he had a kid.
I thought I may have seen that, and it may have just, it may have just been one of those things. Unfortunately, this week there was a lot of really sad news that came across my social media feeds, and I may have him confused with some others. We had the thing with Bob's mother, him, the thing that happened in my town today. It's been a week, but as long as we're here and we're powering through and we're continuing to fight the brave fight and doing it with a smile, I think that's all you can do at times.
Well, you just got to put one foot in front of the other, and that's the way you go, the way you keep on.
And then you put it in, and then you pull it out.
And that's what it's. And then you do the hokey pokey.
That's always been my thing. My way of dealing with grief is levity. So if I can make myself laugh or make someone else smile, that's a huge thing. And I think that's something that people need to think more of in life. Instead of, I don't want to get on a soapbox too big, but we worry too much about negativity, especially in social media. There's so much negativity. If you could affect one person, make one person smile every day, that's 365 people a year you make smile. If you do that every day for 10 years, 650 people. If you do it for 20 years, that's almost 7,500 people, just by making someone smile and affecting their life and making someone happy instead of negative. I think we all need to keep that in perspective, how big of an impact we can have on the world, especially since our world shrunk to the size it is. I mean, we're 800 miles away, Laura, and we're talking like we're in the same bedroom.
Right, exactly. It is certainly, a small world.
We all have the same opportunity and the same power. Just, I wish more people would take that opportunity. I try to do it. I try to make people laugh all the time. I know you do, Laura. You're always posting such beautiful and inspiring pictures, which brighten my day up. I don't know if I know I've told you before, but I don't know if I've told you lately. But I enjoy a lot of your photography. I think you have a real eye and a knack for it, and just something simple like that. You never know when that little thing is a pick me up that takes somebody out of their bed for the day.
Right.
And I'm going way off on a tangent, which we're known for here. But the other day I stumbled on a YouTube video, which everybody that has YouTube or goes on YouTube does, and it was Ahmad Best, and I hope I'm saying his name right, which if you're not familiar with the name, that's the actor that played Jar Jar Binks. Now,
oh, good God.
No, you got to hear this out, Laura. Now, for anybody that's a Star Wars fan, there was so much negativity and negative backlash to that character and that actor that it affected him in his real life. And he talked about being from Brooklyn and walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, and at one point wanting to jump off of the bridge because of that. And just think about it. Here's this guy that got his dream role in movies.
Star Wars.
I mean, he grew up a Star Wars fan. He was being put in a Star Wars movie, and now the negativity that he's hearing from that made him want to jump off a bridge. He didn't do it, obviously, because he was here to do the video. The whole thing was 18 years later, he hadn't walked across the bridge again, but he did with his son, and they stopped and took a picture there. And he,
very nice.
The whole video was about that moment. And it just let me think, because I didn't hate Jar Jar Binks. I wasn't as negative as a lot of people were towards him, but he wasn't my favorite character either. If you know what I mean, he didn't.
Right.
He didn't move the needle either way for me.
I never really blamed the actor. I just didn't like the character. I never even the actor never even came into mind when I would talk about how much I loathed Jar Jar Binks. I never thought about the actor. I never put that on the actor because the actor's just doing what is written. You know, you can't blame the actor for that. And also, too, real quick, I don't know if people realize this, but when you smile at a stranger, that might be the only smile they see all day. So even if they don't smile back at you, keep on smiling at people.
They might think you're crazy, but
that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay too.
No,
there's and I think we're all proponents of that. Me, you, Bob. I know Dr. Gooseltron is as well, of putting your best front forward and trying to leave a positive impact on the world. And that's what I think. And I brought up the Jar Jar Binks story because how easy it is. The anonymity of him being behind that character, you didn't realize how much it affected him. Just like the anonymity of us being behind a keyboard,
right?
And you don't realize that. I seen it the other day. Someone had said something disparaging about Kelly Klein and the way she looked, and I mean, come on. You treat this. You don't realize that that's a person you're talking to. You know, we've had Kelly on the show a few times now. She's a lovely human being. I met her. She's a lovely human being when I met her. And doing wonderful things for this world, not just in the world of wrestling. She's teaching our youth, and there's not many more noble things that you can do. Exactly, and there's not many more noble things you could do because God knows you're not going to become a millionaire being a teacher. You do that because you love to do it.
Right, and didn't she remember being on the show? You mentioned the show to her, and she was like, "Yeah, Warren Bob."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she remembered us right away. She's from, and just seeing. I mean, she just posted about it a few days ago that somebody tried to body shame her. Which, really, you're going to body shame Kelly Klein? I mean, come on. It's ridiculous, and people. I think we forget about that when we have that power of the anonymity. It's easy for me to say JD Drake doesn't hit hard because it's never going to be. He's never going to be in my living room hitting me. It's easy for me to say Caleb Conley isn't a good-looking man because he's never going to be in my room to confront me. You know what I mean?
But I might.
You get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. I'm just messing.
You follow what I'm saying. So, in basically in a roundabout way that took us 20 minutes of a circle to get to, just put out positivity into the world, people. Be nice to each other. Treat people how you want to be treated. You will see it works wonders for you. I mean, no matter what walk of life you do, unless you're someone that, I don't know, maybe is a cage fighter, you know, being positive to everybody, it's just going to do wonders for yourself and your own soul. But I'll jump off of my soapbox.
Well, I'm gonna jump on the soapbox because I call shenanigans. And I hate to do it with my good friend, well, Bob's good friend. That's Mr. Hardy to you. I smell a rat, and I ain't talking about a ring rat. I smell a rat because there's something real fishy about the fact that all of a sudden Matt is cured and Daniel Bryan is cured of these career-ending injuries. I call shenanigans. I'm glad Matt's back. Don't get me wrong. Don't get that twisted. But there's something. No. I ain't buying it. I ain't buying none of it.
So to make sure that our listeners understand, you're not calling shenanigans on Matt.
No,
you're calling
I'm not
shenanigans on somebody else that might whose name might rhyme with Nintz Nick Nan.
Yes, I certainly might. And, you know, heck, it might even be, you know, the third version of Carter. I don't know. But something ain't right
Well, we know that there is, at least in theory, other viable options out there at this point. So I think it may be in their best interest. They have under contract extremely creative people like Matt Hardy. Happy.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
And wanting to stay there.
I'm all for it. I just the thing for me, it takes all the emotion out, because I don't know about you, but when Edge retired, I was a bawling mass. I was okay, he's going. Oh my God! Because I was invested. I was emotionally invested in this character, and I shed some tears when Matt said he was going to have to retire. But now I'm kind of like,
Now, see, I'm not going to say that it doesn't affect me when someone retires, especially from an injury. But this is where it's different. You didn't grow up a Terry Funk fan. I did. I've seen that man retire more times than most people have wrestling matches. So it kind of made me numb to the fact of people retiring in wrestling. And Terry Funk, I'm going to tell you right now, I will never, ever believe that Terry Funk retires until he passes away. 15 years has passed. And they dig up his grave just to make sure he's still down there, that he ain't coming back. And then I might believe that he's not ever going to make a comeback.
See, for me, as a wrestling fan, it's about being invested, emotionally invested. And I can tell you that one of the last times I was really emotionally invested in the WWE product was when Goldust and Cody won the tag titles. The Big Show helped. That was probably, it was a beautiful moment. I cried when that happened. But for me, that's it. Here I am thinking Matt Hardy is not going to be actively wrestling anymore. And like I said, it's not that I don't want to see Matt Hardy back in a wrestling ring. Oh, no. I'd love to see him just go full-on broken and just blow everybody's mind. But I don't think it's going to happen in the WWE. I think Bully Ray on Busted Open said it best, is that you're not going to get the full Matt Hardy, the broken Matt Hardy, because Vince wants to hold on to something he created, which was actually the Matt Hardy that, part of Team Extreme. But I digress. I'm just saying, I'm glad that Matt's coming back. Don't get me wrong. There's something rotten in Denmark, y'all.
Well, as with Matt, he could always retire as broken Matt Hardy and come back as another reincarnation. I mean, he is Big Money Matt before that.
Yeah.
Version 1.0 before that, Team Extreme. I mean, the guy's reinvented himself more times than Madonna at this point. And if you get that reference, you're old like me and Laura. But yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be interested to see what Matt does, because his mind works on a level that I don't think many others in wrestling or in the world in general do.
When you can take a B movie and make it a wrestling match, that's genius. Because that's what all those vignettes reminded me of, and the whole thing was just like, this is the best B movie I've ever seen in my whole entire life. But with that being said, I did want to mention real quick that, and I talked about it a little bit when you were getting James on the phone, or JD on the phone. Our good friend Cedric Alexander is getting his first figure. John pre-ordered me and him one, so very proud of Cedric for getting that. It's past time to have gotten him a figure. I would love to have had a figure of him when he was the Cruiserweight champion. But I digress. But we want to congratulate Cedric on that, and can't wait until I see him at an Access someday, and I walk up to him with my Kick to Kill shirt and with that figure that I'm gonna get him to autograph. But that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, going to a WrestleMania and standing in line and Access to see him again. I can say, I can remember when the line wasn't so long, Cedric. Just saying.
Not that he wasn't talented back then.
No, just not a lot of people, not as many, I should say, at the PWX and AML shows.
We talked about it for years. He was a hidden gem in the wrestling world for way longer than he probably should have been.
Ring of Honor dropped the ball. It's one of the few times that they have dropped the ball, but they dropped it hugely with Cedric. When Kevin Steen, basically says, "This is your guy," you should have listened. He could have been your guy.
Well, if I recall correctly, he had the unfortunate timing issue of being there towards the end of the Cornette regime and the beginning of the Delirious regime.
Yeah.
They kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit.
I think so, too. I don't think they knew. They put him with Veda, and that just was not a good match at all. It just really didn't make any sense. I just kind of scratched my head. But now, I think
they're
he's in a
both
good
not
place.
Amazing.
Right,
They're both
I don't have
amazing
a problem.
separately, though.
They're just not together. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense for them to be together. But I would love to see Tommy Thomas and him because I think Leo Rush has stole Tommy's gimmick, because I think Leo is doing Tommy in WWE. I think Leo's doing a great job because Bobby Lashley is like the frog mouth on the Flintstones. Because you got this big dude and you got this voice that comes out of him that doesn't sound like it should. But yeah, I think I've been more interested in Bobby Lashley since Leo Rush has been with him than I've been probably in his entire career. But anyway, I digress. This week, I wanted to mention was the anniversary of my first PWX show. It was 5 years ago that I went to Ziggy's not really knowing what to expect. I made a lot of new friends. Going to that PWX show set into motion a lot of things that changed my whole entire life, which I'd met John at WrestleCade a couple months prior to that first PWX show, but it was just kind of in passing. But going to the PWX shows, that show, made me want to go to more, and just kind of crossing paths with him for a couple of years, and then finally, starting to date. It just I think it puts in perspective a lot of just what one thing you do, and you don't really think about it at the time, what it sets into motion. So wrestling has been absolutely great.
And just think about that. Because I believe I seen the pictures you tagged Crystal in earlier this week. Am I right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did I notice that one of the top independent women wrestling talents was sitting with you guys?
Yeah.
Before she was a top independent wrestling talent?
Yes. Savannah and I and Crystal used to sit together front row at the PWX shows and at Grindhouse shows too. That we had a great time. And look at Savannah now. I mean, it's unfreaking real that she's tearing it up.
And what was the name of that little group again?
Oh. The little group that we had was the She-Wolves.
I
forgot all about that, George. I had forgotten all about that. That is hilarious. But yeah, those were some good times. Yes, you
I remember because that wasn't too much longer after we had found out about each other, because we had kind of met on a different podcast,
right?
Which we won't
exactly.
name for other reasons. And
yeah,
that wasn't too long after that. And I remember seeing, I was like, wow, that. I remember thinking to myself, I need to get up to North Carolina sometime because they look like they're having the time of their life.
I'm telling you, if you have an independent wrestling company in your area and you're a wrestling fan, why would you be listening to this podcast? If you were not a wrestling fan, go, because not only did I see Cedric Alexander before he went to WWE, I saw Adam Page as part of Country Jack with Corey Hollis, in PWX. And where's Adam Page now? Dun, dun, dun. It's no telling who you're going to see.
Not just that, you seen Adam Page when he still looked like he was 15 years old.
Yes. The first time I ever met him was at WrestleCade, my first WrestleCade. And I had no intention of buying anything from him, but he charmed me out of an 8x10 autograph and a Country Jack shirt, which, by the way, he spelled my name Flora.
So you're Flora?
Flora, yeah, and I still have that. And I can't wait for the day I can take that and to him and say, now look here. He's from Virginia. He's from right down the road from where I am.
I had the chance to meet him a couple of years later. This was only late 2017 that I met him, and he was in the full swing of the Bullet Club. And I went to a ROH show, and they had a line was set up where at the end of the line was the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, and Kenny Omega. Now, I had met the Young Bucks and I had met Cody before. I hadn't met Kenny Omega yet, but it at that time, and I don't know if it's something that they do at every Ring of Honor show, but they sold tickets. So I had I had 3 tickets. Because I had my plans already. Because we've talked about it before. I wanted to try and get autographs from every member of the Bullet Club because I'm a huge Bullet Club fan, and I'm going through the line, and everybody, the whole line, as it turns, you had 4 tables. You had Paige, then you had the Young Bucks, then you had Cody and Brandy, then you had Kenny. Cody and Brandy were last ones. So everybody keeps turning and going past Adam Page, and I was already in the mindset that I'm going to go up and get Adam Page, as that was one of the ones I wanted. It was at that particular show, because you do the same thing. I had an earmark that I wanted to meet Adam Page, I wanted to meet Kenny Omega, and then I had a third. Actually, I met. They came out with another deal where you can meet all the announcers. So I met Colt Cabana, Ian Riccaboni, and Bobby Cruz all at once. And then I met Bully Ray at the halftime show, or the not halftime show, but the intermission.
Wrong sport, George.
Well, anyway, to make the long story short, as we're standing in line, everybody just keeps walking up, and I'm like, nobody's walking in the line for Adam Page. At this time, he was a 6-man champion with the Young Bucks. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, are you friggin' kidding me? No one wants to. So I just got out of line and walked right over to him, and I was like, hey, I don't know if I'm doing this right because this line seems to be going this way, but I wanted to meet you anyway. And then he's like, oh, no, man, thank you. And he just lit up because somebody actually didn't walk past him to go see, the more popular guys. But he was like, oh, man. He's like, well, who can I sign it to? I told him my name. He's like, do you want to take a picture? Before I could even ask him, he goes, you want to take a picture with me? I was like, yeah, I was going to ask you. That's why my friend Sean's standing there. And then he goes, well, here, hold this while we're doing the picture. And he hands me the 6-man title. I was like, whoa.
Oh, man.
that's just a really cool feeling. And I know you've had it a few times where you've got to hold the actual championship that they use. It's always really special
awesome
to get that honor. Yeah, it definitely is, because I wasn't going to ask because, you're respectful. That's something that costs that company $10,000.
Right.
I don't want to be the guy that drops it. You know what I mean? So he hands me, and he couldn't be any nicer. I thanked him. He looked at me happy, and then I think he was just as happy to see me as I was to see him. And I think I started a trend. I don't think people actually knew that they could break from the line to go see Adam Page. Because after me, of course, all the girls wanted to go see Adam Page because he's Adam Page. So there was a line of women that went up, which actually helped me out because they thinned out the line so I could go meet Kenny Omega real quick.
He and Marty Scurll are the only two that I didn't get to meet of the most recent incarnation of the Bullet Club. When he came, Marty Scurll came.
To meet Marty too.
John thought, said he was a great guy, but when he came to PWX and wrestled Cedric that time in that coat, and it had to be 105 degrees in that Hickory Armory, I'm like, nope, I'm done. No, this man, I ain't got no use for him. But Kenny is the next one. I'd really like to meet Mr. Kenny Omega. But
he was really nice. You could tell he was tired, though. And the thing that I thought was really awesome about all of the Bullet Club guys that I've met, and I guess you call them being the elite guys, are all elite people now. Every one of them was super down to earth and super nice. And, from the biggest stars, the Kenny Omegas, the Codys, the Young Bucks, these guys are massive stars. And, you've dealt with some wrestlers that are massive stars, and they're massive stars.
Right. Yeah, but the Bucks, when I went to that Ring of Honor show, they went around to everyone in the front row, two-sweeted them, and thanked them for coming. They didn't have to do that.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't have to do that at all.
Every Ring of Honor I've been to, they've done the same thing. And they've waited after the show was over to shake every single person and wanted to shake their hand.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. This is the Young Bucks. They literally print stacks of money every day.
They print their own money, basically. I'm telling you, that wad of money they had at that first PWX show they showed up, I was like, God dang, shit, that thing was huge. And this is how great of people they are, is that I went up to them at the second time they came to PWX. They wrestled Zane and Caleb, and I had on a Revolt shirt, and they both did the Too Sweet sign. And what does this girl do? She does her Revolt sign, and they got the biggest kick out of that. They were not mad or anything. They were just so funny. But getting back to the whole, you got to enjoy independent wrestling while they're there, And with AEW coming online, it's going to be, there's going to be a lot more talent, gobbled up, for lack of a better word, because they're going to have people to fill the roster,
I would say they're at least 20 people away from having at least a minimal sized roster.
Right. And, Dolph Ziggler is not happy with his lot in the WWE. I will say this, and I think it's a very safe thing to say now. He did tell us in Charlotte at the Comedy Zone that if he did not get a WrestleMania storyline, if he was not in a big WrestleMania storyline, he was done. And I think he's done. I think he's done with the company. I don't blame him. His whole entire career with WWE, for the most part, has been wasted time. They've not booked him properly. I know he got hurt, but, people get hurt, And he, does have a habit of not knowing when to shut up, but still, I think it's been a big waste of time for the most part. I'm glad I got to meet him, which, if you guys ever get to meet him, one of the nicest and most genuine people you'll ever want to meet in your whole entire life. He was so happy to talk with people. I had on the Susan G. Komen shirts they used to sell, like every superstar would get their own. So I got a Dolph Ziggler one.
Yeah,
and
quite a few of those.
That was one of the first things he said to me was like, "Hey, I like your shirt," and I'm like, "Yeah, I wonder why," But yeah, just so genuine. And I don't know whether I've ever told. I think I told this story that I thanked him for incorporating his little shimmy back into his ring entrance.
Of course you did.
And he got the biggest kick out of that. He said, they wouldn't let me do that for a long time. And I'm like, well, you need to tell whoever that you need to do that. but yeah, it's a lot of people are shitting on AEW right now, and I'm like, why in the world would you shit on another company, another place for wrestlers to work? This does nothing but help the whole entire business, because it's going to make the product, the overall product, better. Because when was WWE really, really good? When it had WCW to go up against. It had to be, because
when it also was stealing ideas from ECW too.
Yes, because whatever happened on ECW, it would happen on the next Raw. So yeah, you've got to think of. I think there's a generation of wrestling fans that's all they've ever known is what's on Monday and Tuesday night. And there's a lot out there.
You know what it is, Laura? They love the Young Bucks. They love the Kenny Omegas when they're their little thing that nobody knows about, But as soon as the whole world clamps on, now they're going to start turning them. I think it's a minority, because I've seen a lot of really positive things. I think really positively. Like you, I hope with my heart of hearts, TNA never quite got to the point where they were any kind of challenge to WWE. I don't think Ring of Honor will ever get to that point. New Japan can be on a global level, but I don't think they could be in America, just because I don't think it all translates as great.
Right, and it never will.
I think AEW now, and this is a big caveat, and I think a lot of people feel this way too. They've got the I guess you could say jitters, because they've seen this trick before and it's blown up. Basically they're doing what TNA did. They're doing what Jeff Jarrett did starting TNA. He threw the Jarretts and the Carters threw a bunch of money at people. I just hope that they take some of those mistakes and learn from them. I hope that, signing a Dolph Ziggler might be a great idea, but let's not sign every jamoke that gets dropped off of WWE. Maybe be a little more selective. I know that you're going to have to mix some of them in, because you want to have that name recognition. You want to have people go, oh, that's Dolph Ziggler. What's he doing there? I'm going to tune in. And then you have that. But while you're doing that, also you need to bring in guys like a John Schuyler or guys like a JD Drake that we just got off the line with, and introduce your fans to, hey, we got this guy here, and he's great, and he's wonderful, but so's this guy over here. So are the Ugly Ducklings. See what the Ugly Ducklings could do against the Young Bucks.
God, I would love to see that.
See some of that. And I still think, with as much as WWE signed, I don't think that they've even tapped the top of the women's talent there is out there. There's so much women's talent.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I think there's a ton
on the independent level.
Talented. Yeah, talented women that hasn't, like Delilah Doom, Savannah Evans, even Tessa. I know she's got her thing going on with Impact. There's Taya Valkyrie, Kiera Hogan.
Oh, she's amazing.
Sue Young.
Yep.
Just these incredibly gifted women. Faye Jackson, who's gotten, in my opinion, a lot better in the upcoming in the recent couple of years. But real quick, I want to make a point because I think this has to be said, and I think it's valid. If you think of, and I think this is where TNA made its biggest mistake, when TNA was an alternative to WWE, that's when it flourished. I think the mistake that people make is that, we're going to compete with WWE and we're going to knock them off. I think, and that's wrong, I think the main goal should be we're an alternative to WWE. We know we're not WWE, and we're never going to be WWE, but we are an alternative, and that's why I started watching TNA, because I was like, oh my God, this Samoa Joe dude, he can fly with the best of them, because he was the X Division champ. AJ Styles. I'd never seen Christopher Daniels until he was on TNA, because I'd never seen Ring of Honor. Austin Aries, I'd never seen Ring of Honor. Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, all these people that I was like, oh my God, this stuff is awesome. And I never really thought, they're going to take down WWE. I just thought this is different from WWE, and this is why I like it, because I like seeing other things, And there was some name recognition. There was Jeff Jarrett and Sting and, other people that I knew, and that was fine too. Mm-hmm. But it was the newcomers to me. They were new to me. And AJ Styles, of course, is what kept me tuning in. I'm like, what's this Samoa Joe going to do? What's this dude going to do?
Right.
And so,
and if you look at it now, if you look at the landscape now, there's so many guys that could be that next group of really great talents. Anthony Henry's one, JD Drake, Billy Brash. My God, imagine Billy Brash on a national television show.
Oh,
I mean,
Lord.
come on,
Jason
Kincaid. I mean,
yes,
Luke and PJ, the Hawkses.
Right. So many people, like that could be the backbone of a company. Could, like Chip Day. Why in the world Chip Day isn't on televised product, I'll never know. Or Joe Black.
They're two great ones. I personally think, and I'm pretty sure I've said this to you before, to me, is he's like the Jimi Hendrix of wrestling. He's so gifted and talented, and he makes it look so effortless. He's a different kind of dude. He's not your normal. And, I'd be remiss to say, while we're talking about this, I don't want to get on too much of an AEW thing, but we need to get guys on there like Jamie Senegal, like Effie, like Mike Parrow.
Yeah.
We need to get people representing the LGTB community in a respectful way in a professional wrestling ring. And we need to see we need to see that, because right now we have a company that's starting up. Why not? Why? I know you watched the Effie video with Joey Janela. You're telling me that doesn't play to a mainstream audience? Forget the fact of what he is, what his preferences are. That doesn't play to a mainstream audience? You're telling me that?
Right.
Are you freaking kidding me? Like, seriously, Effie is so damn creative, and so is Mike Parrow, and so is Jamie, and so Ashton Starr, and a bunch of others that I could sit here and rattle off their names. I think that's where they can make their biggest headway, is
tap into that audience that no one has tapped into.
Well,
bring a whole different.
Putting people that are different and not treating them different.
Right.
That's where
definitely.
they will make that. That's where they'll make their money. To me, that's where the money is. I mean, it's I don't look at the statistics, but I believe, what is it? Something like 18% of the population is on the LGBT spectrum, and I know there's more letters, and I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I just don't remember them all, but
LGBTQ.
There you go. See, Laura's
you're talking to one of the. You're talking to an original fruit fly. I hung around gay men in the '80s when it wasn't cool to do so. So, yeah.
I believe I read somewhere that 18% of our population falls within that spectrum. 18%. Do you know how large of a constituent that is?
It's pretty
huge.
big.
That's big. That's massive. So for 18% of the population, what they've seen on mainstream televised wrestling is characters of their life. They haven't seen, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, other than maybe Sonya Deville, can you think of one character that's been portrayed in a positive role on a mainstream television that hasn't been treated like a gimmick, that hasn't been treated like an overly over-the-top character of what they really are?
No, I can't.
I mean, I don't mean to get on that soapbox. I just, you know me, Laura. I think everybody is equal and everybody should be treated equal. And I think that if AEW really wants to make an impact, no pun intended,
that's the way to do it.
We need to see the faces that WWE is not showing us. So
and I think that works on many levels. It works on many, many levels because, I think professional wrestling is an aesthetically pleasing sport. I think it's been that way since the get-go. But there are a lot of people
we're about to hit the 2-hour mark and go into overtime, Laura. Just want to let everybody know if we cut off, it will go to the recorded version. So if it cuts off in the middle of Laura saying something, you can hear it when it loads.
Or if you want to call in and listen, you can do that as well because it will not shut you off. Call in. I don't believe.
I don't believe.
So either way, but
either way.
It works on many levels because, like you said, and what I was saying was someone like Dusty Rhodes wouldn't have a snowball chance today.
Dick Murdoch,
Bugsy McGraw,
Bam Bam Gordy,
right, Bam Bam Bigelow.
I mean,
there's many greats that would not, or Buddy Jack Roberts was not the most aesthetically pleasing person who ever lived, but I tell you what, he was great when he and Gordy and Hayes would get together. Something too that always amazes me that didn't bother everybody in the 80s, but sure would bother people today. I don't know if you remember this or not, but when the Freebirds wrestled the Road Warriors, I believe it was in the AWA, they painted their faces with the stars and bars.
Oh yeah, they did that. They did that actually kind of often. They did that against the Von Erichs as well in World Class, but they did the Confederate flag in World Class.
Right, that's what the stars and bars are.
Oh, when I think stars and bars, I think of just a regular American flag.
Right, and that's what. And see, you're not Southern by birth,
well,
George. But anyway, but I always find I've never seen it in world class. I'll have to dig deep in the archives, but I do remember seeing it in the magazine, and of course back then not thinking anything of it because it was forever before I really knew what was on top of the General Lee. To me, growing up as a kid, I really just didn't know. I was like, oh, that's an X with some stars in it, I
just watched the first 2 seasons of that one day recently.
I can't anymore because one time I watched it and I was just like, I used to watch this. Are you kidding me? This is horrible.
Oh man, I still love it, and I even tried to look at it. I even tried to look at it to see if I could find anything overtly racist or out of the ordinary, and really there wasn't.
No.
They were Southern people.
No.
I know one of the big criticisms were there wasn't many people of color, but in almost every episode, there was at least one. Now, they weren't the main cast, but It was a family, That just happened to be what that family was, and I could still watch it. I'm sorry, Laura, if you're jaded, but
no. I just can't. It's not even anything to do with that. I was just like, gosh, this is stupid.
Oh, you thought it was dumb? I still think it's awesome.
After I watched it, because I was so excited when it came back on after forever, and I sit and watched it. It was probably when I was in my mid-20s, and I was like, holy crap, this is horrible. What in the world? Why did I stay up till 9 o'clock on Fridays to watch this mess? Oh, yeah. And I loved it growing up.
All right. I know you have Amazon Prime because everybody does. Go and watch at least the first couple episodes now that you're this age, and see if it still does that to you. Because
I will have to do that.
I thought it still worked. Mm-hmm. And it could be, not for nothing, but Catherine Bach still looks like Catherine Bach.
Well, I was going to say, John Schneider, was like my first real big crush, and yeah. I mean, but still, I will have to take your advice on that, George, because yeah, it just didn't work.
I mean, I'm not saying it was the most mentally stimulating show there is on television, but for what it is, I didn't go into it expecting Shakespeare and Hamlet. I expected the Dukes of Hazzard, just a fun show about car cases and
out damn spot either.
Moonshine.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'll have to watch it again. Maybe it won't be as soul crushing as it was that time.
And I think a lot of it is too that since some of the actors have passed, Uncle Jesse, Boss Hogg, that seeing them again,
and Roscoe,
yeah,
he's gone now.
Oh my God, Roscoe passed?
Yeah, he's been gone.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's been gone for a couple of years.
Oh.
Yeah, I had the incredible pleasure of meeting him when the Dukes came to Galax. Now, why they came to Galax, you got me. But I tracked my little happy ass down to Phelps Park and met James Best and Cletus. Not Cletus, the other one. Oh,
Enos?
What was the other one? Enos, yeah. And John Schneider. So, yeah, talked to James Best, talked with him about his appearance on the Andy Griffith Show. Such a nice guy. He would not let you take his picture, though. He would not let you at all take a picture with him, and I don't know why. He'd sign your autograph, he'd sign whatever you wanted, but he's like, I don't take pictures. Okay. But
there's a certain sect of America that thinks it takes a part of your soul, and that could just be it.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just got tired of it too.
Growing up, my family would really, like, if I wanted to take a picture of me and my dog, oh no, you can't take a picture of that animal like that because you'll steal. Yeah, just like you're just steal part of its soul, it'll die. I'm like, huh? We're all gonna die one day.
Yeah.
But I mean, but yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah,
but here we are.
I've actually run into it, and I thought it's interesting. It's interesting. If it's true, Instagram's going to kill a whole bunch of people.
If it hasn't already. But yeah. Yeah, we got off into another tangent, but I do agree with you with the AEW. I think that is they need to be what WWE isn't, and whatever that is,
right.
And whatever aspect it is, that's where their success lies. I believe.
See, and that's what the success of ECW was, because ECW didn't have the budget of WCW. They didn't have the WWE budget. They had very little money. So what could they do? Well, they could put on better wrestling. They could tell better stories. They could be more violent, which, and I hate to bring that up because that's what everybody thinks when they think ECW. And even when I first talked to you, Laura, you thought the same. But it was so much more than that. But that is what they could do that WWE couldn't. You know, WWE can't have people going through barbed wire. They can't have people jumping off of balconies.
Bully Ray talking, oh my God, so much filth to the people in the front row. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. WWE can't hire New Jack. Period. He's such a liability that they couldn't even put him on TV.
You ain't kidding.
And
somebody.
I mean that with all the love in the world, because you know I love New Jack.
At that Q&A for ECW, somebody asked him, did he have any regrets? And he was like, yeah, I got too many damn kids, man. I should have worn a condom. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably telling me that's the one good thing about New Jack is you're going to get what he thinks. You might not like it, but you're going to hear it. And I'm so glad that they did that at WrestleCade, and you got to see a Sandman entrance, and you got to feel some of how special things like that were. Because it's so hard to quantify. It's hard to even watch on video until you're there and you feel it, and you feel what happens to the crowd when something like that happens. I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it. And I know I've told you before that Steamboat was my mom's favorite wrestler, and I figured out much later why, because, you know, my mom was a horn dog. Oh, and we've lost Laura. So I'm going to end this with this note since Laura's phone went wonky and she's dropped off. She just sent me a message. So I'll just finish this off, and Laura, maybe you'll hear this afterwards. I've told Laura the story that Steamboat was my mom's favorite wrestler. With my stepfather, he took me to an ECW show when it was first starting off. And the one thing that he remembers to this day, almost 30 years later, is that Sandman was the only wrestler that was drunker than he was. And Sandman's his favorite wrestler just for that reason. But since Laura's dropped off, I think that's a good point for us to drop off. I'm going to go ahead and end this here if anybody's still listening. I know you're not listening live, but you're listening to the broadcast. We didn't mention next week's guest, and we'll put it on social media later in the week. We talked about him a little bit during the show. The one and only John Schuyler. I want to say thank you to everybody again for tuning in. Again, this whole season is dedicated to Bob's mother, Darlene. We love you, Bob. I know you're probably listening to this, and I know the last hour of nonsense, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, my God, what did I let these idiots do? We love you, Bob. Prayers to your family. Everybody out there, again, please send all your thoughts and prayers to Bob, his family. And if you want to, please send him messages. He loves hearing from you. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off, because it's been a wonderful night here at the Armory. And I don't have Laura to do it, so I'm going to do it myself. Whoop, whoop. Talk to you guys later.
Hey, everybody. This is Laura.
today will keep the doctor away?
It does. And folks, you know what doesn't stay away is top rope belts and turnbuckle cupcakes from this program. That program being live from the Armory Wrestling Show. You've heard Laura and I talk about top rope belts, turnbuckle cupcakes for the last 5 years. Make sure that you're supporting your local independent wrestling business that supports the business, if you get what we're saying. www.topropebelts.com. Go to www.turnbucklecupcakes.storeenvy.com. Make sure you're supporting your local independent wrestling businesses. What do you think, Laura?
Have you heard about the one?
Yeah, the one about the cupcakes, yeah.